All right. Uh, Hi everyone. This is going to be our informal observation. I'm Anthony Campbell. I'm here today with our Director of Personnel, our Assistant Superintendent, and also Director of Personnel, Mr. C.K. Smith. C.K., how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Anthony. Thanks for inviting me to this. Anything I can do to help you, I'd appreciate it. And I'll do anything I can for you.
I appreciate it. So the assignment was to go over and discuss some personnel things that we had, and I think there were
Yep.
seven categories that we were going to discuss today. And we can hit a little bit briefly on each one of them. I'm going to try to jot down notes or
Okay.
anything, and if you want to send me anything that you have that you wrote up, that'd be fine, and then
Okay.
you can write it up into a paper. So the first one was just talking about planning. So planning for district personnel.
Yep. That's a good point, Anthony. That's kind of where we start at. Obviously, your personnel is based upon your student enrollment. Student enrollment is wherever you're a little over $6,000 a child. So you take that and you multiply that by the number of kids you have, and that's going to kind of give you a ballpark of your state allotment. Of course, we're getting federal money and some local money, but mainly your state allotment. And so, based upon those numbers, is what we try to do. Um, to plan for our district personnel. Of course, it costs more money at junior high and high school because you have CAPE programs, you have specialty programs to where in the lower levels you're just going to have your regular programs. So
Hmm.
we have specific guidelines. Everybody is generally on either a probationary contract or a term contract. And so with that in mind, we try to ensure that we are doing our dead level best to plan for any additional school kids coming in, whether you have an influx of, let's say, high need special education kids come in. Everything we do, no different with our bilingual or ESL or migrant, we have to plan to expect the unexpected. So whenever that happens, we may have to make adjustments. Sometimes we have to make those adjustments on the fly. Excuse me. And sometimes we know ahead of time when we have big swings in student population and student growth. So that's kind of on the planning side of it.
Who's all involved in the planning of it?
Generally, what we'll do is I will sit down with the superintendent. We also get with our principals. Our principals kind of get a heads up from their PEMS clerks on this is what we're looking at. This is where we need to go with it. Um, one of the things, as you know, just like with our special ed being an inclusion uh, district, all of our, we're doing so much of our work inside of those classrooms. So a lot of that is based upon district improvement teams, your campus teams, your initiatives, where we want to go. If we have, well, let's take example when you have grant monies, like after COVID with our ESSER money.
Hmm.
Those recommendations were based upon campus needs for remediation and to make up for learning loss with our underserved populations. So we were able to hire based upon data, which is general. A lot of it's star data, but some of it is local data on where we needed to plan and where we needed to shuffle district personnel. So
Perfect.
that helps answer that.
Yes, sir. So the next one was recruitment. So what do we do to recruit our district personnel?
Well, um, that's the age-old question. Number one is, and I'm going to tie this in kind of recruitment and retention.
Hmm.
I know it's got selection on the third one, so but let's do recruitment and retention. One of our biggest challenges, Anthony, is getting teachers in Madisonville with our limited ability for housing, the cost of housing, um, and our lack of affordable housing here in this area, it's can be difficult. Once we get teachers here and they kind of go, their bedstone, their cornerstone of the whole school district is based about around discipline. If you have discipline, then you have instruction. And so trying to get those teachers recruited to come in, we offer a very good salary package, which is in this area, we're having to compete with a number of the larger districts. So our base salary is usually higher than what the base salary are because we know those teachers are going to have to drive. We offer some incentives, pre-K, pre-K school for anybody that has a child that's going to be a teacher.
Mhm.
We offer a more than minimum pay with insurance, with medical insurance.
Mhm.
We offer some incentives with your state comp ed, your state days, your local days, to where if you say have enough days, we pay you at the end if you retire from the
Mhm.
district. So there's a number of things that we're trying to do to recruit teachers to come in. Our biggest recruiting tool is other teachers.
Mhm.
It's what they say about the district, what they don't say about the district. Most of our teachers now are not hometown teachers. They are move-ins, or they are living in a different part of, they're not living in Madisonville. They're living outside, either in Huntsville, College Station, Bryan, or elsewhere. So it's real important on recruitment. As far as the retention, one of the things that we're trying to do is, of course, we try to stay competitive with pay raises. You yourself being a coach, you know as well as I do, you get 20 extra days added on to your salary. This is to help boost your salary. We in Madisonville, we pay our coaches, our Kate teachers, our ag teachers, all of them, we pay pretty good.
Yeah.
And so for us to compete and for us to have the best, we know we have to pay for it. So that's one thing we're investigating right now, TIA, teacher incentive allotment. It
Mhm.
looks like we're going to start doing that to where that will be an extra incentive for teachers to get that, and then they can lock onto that. Um, One of the things we try to retain our teachers is good administrative support, whether it's your APs or whether you're principals. When you are having issues, whether it's another employee or student or parent, you know that you're going to be taken care of. Even if you're wrong, you're going to be taken care of.
Mhm.
We may have a discussion afterwards about, hey, this is what we probably could have done different, but you're still in public going to be taken care of. So that's one of the things we're looking at on recruitment and on retention. We feel like once we can get you in the door, we can pretty much keep you.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I can surely agree with all that you said.
yep,
That's one big thing that has kept me in Madison so long is the constant support from our administration and just how
yep.
they always have your back and everything that you do in the
And that's
classroom.
extremely important.
Hmm.
Extremely.
So the next one was selection, which we kind of talked about that with the superintendents, principals, PEMS clerks.
Yes.
So I think we hit on that one. Um, Induction of district
I'm not sure
personnel.
what you mean by that in the induction, Anthony.
I think that's similar to, like you said, the retention. Probably just how do we put it out there is we use our I guess our website. Is there things that we
Yeah,
put out?
we have it on our website. We go to multiple job fairs.
Yeah.
We go from everywhere from Texas A&M to Sam Houston to Prairie View. We try to we put it on Tossanet. We post locally
Hmm.
uh, when we do have positions that come available. Uh, One of the beautiful things about us so far, and of course this is subject to change, is word of mouth
Hmm.
is the best way. We often hear. people talking about there's a teacher shortage. There's a teacher shortage. Well, I would disagree. I don't think there is a teacher shortage. I think there's a shortage of teachers willing to teach, but I think we've got plenty of teachers. They just choose not to. And so if we can make our district as lucrative and pleasant and drama free as we possibly can, then we can retain, we can recruit, we can induct, and we can keep those teachers in district.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I know like on the coaching side of it, we use like the Sports U and they with the Region Center and everybody.
Mhm.
I don't know, we put that out there. That's a
We
big
use
one.
Twitter.
Twitter.
We use X and no longer
Yeah,
Twitter, but we use X. We use Facebook. We've used a number of
social media.
social media.
Mhm.
And fortunately for us, Anthony, and you'll understand this, is the majority, 70% of our staff is 10 years plus. So we just don't have just a whole lot of turnover. Our biggest turnover are spouses leaving because of you know another spouse moving, transferred. We really hire you to retire you,
Mhm.
and that's our motto.
So the fifth one was compensation, which we already hit on that one because we talked about competing with
Right.
the bigger districts and all of our compensation salary packages and things like that. And so I
Yep.
think we went in good details on that one. So number six would be the evaluation of district personnel. Is
Well,
this?
that's a good one. That's always a difficult one. And when I say difficult one, in the past, sometimes it's always been really a subjective opinion of the evaluation that your principal does or that the superintendent does. One of the beauties of moving to T-tests, and even with what we do with P-tests, where we're evaluating the principals, um, it takes some of the subjectivity out of the evaluation. As a former principal and I as an assistant superintendent, I can walk into your classroom at any given time. I can stay there for 10 minutes and I know whether you're making an impact.
Mhm.
I we our goal is to make sure for the subjective part is our APs are in those classrooms, our principals are in those classrooms, and based upon that, from that subjective point, you can make your objective point from your t-test because there are going to be certain criteria that you have to do and the artifacts that you're going to have that will validate the evaluation that you get. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And with us going to TIA, for you to qualify for that extra money, you're going to have to meet those criteria. It takes all the subjectivity out of this,
Mhm.
and we put in exactly your growth model of how well your kids did. Um, in the past, this is probably prior to you even getting an education, is everybody wanted to teach the kids that they were gonna, they were shooting stars. They were already way up as far as their academic prowess, to where this now takes a growth model to where you'll see people wanting to teach your lower level kids.
Mhm.
And that way you can have more growth with those kids than you can with those kids that already have the growth. So that is one positive thing that we do with the evaluation of district personnel. Also, there's a lot more, in my opinion, that goes into it than just what's going on in the classroom. For example,
For sure.
as a coach, hey, you're at 9:30 and you're washing uniforms after a basketball game,
Mhm.
or it's 10 o'clock two-a-days on Saturday and y'all are doing, or you're doing at a baseball tournament, yourself in San Antonio where you're driving back on Sunday. All of those things that people don't see
Mhm.
that make a difference in the lives of a coach, number one, in the lives of a teacher, and it's all of those extras. It's that teacher that you have that, where you don't really have any cheerleading issues. You
Hmm.
know, cheerleading can always be the baseball team when you're having parents and you're having to deal with issues that arise from parents' expectations. So those are things that you really don't see on a T-test, but those are things that we evaluate because my job is to protect you and your job is to give me a heads up when I need to protect you. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Because there's going to be ultimately, if you have a mad parent, that parent's going to probably go to your AP. From that AP, that's going to go to the principal. From that principal, it's probably going to come to me and it's going to stop with me unless it goes to the school board. But
Hmm.
we want to make sure that we've done everything in our power. And if you are making life difficult for everybody by making poor choices in the classroom and are on the coaching field, um, your evaluation could reflect that in
Hmm.
addition to whatever your T-tests. So, and you get that, you know that.
Yep. Well, and that kind of leads me into the last question of the dismissal.
The
So,
dismissal, that's probably one of the toughest parts of my job.
yeah.
It's one of those deals I will assure you, anybody that I've had to dismiss personally, and I've had to do a whole bunch over my tenure, is number one, generally you knew it was coming. You
Hmm.
had an opportunity to fix it. You chose not to fix it. I have done everything in my power to not have to dismiss you. For example, to me, in my mind, if I have to dismiss you, I have failed. I have failed because my job is to make you successful.
Hmm.
And in that making successful is to where if I have to have a conversation with you, generally it's going to be an informal conversation. The next time it's probably going to be a conversation with your principal. And then if I have to have another conversation with you, it may not be quite as informal. And then if I have to put something in writing, and then put you on a growth plan, or your principal puts you on a growth plan based upon what I'm telling her or him to do, then by the time we've gotten to that point, then the ball is in your corner. You can choose to either fix what you need to fixing or you don't fix it. And if you don't fix it, at the end of the day, I'm held accountable. Now, with that said, there are circumstances to where if something you've done or any teacher harms a child, the implications of harming a child, then you could be dismissed. Now, what we will do is if you do something silly, to where we don't have time to do a growth plan or anything like that. You've got to get out of the classroom. I'm going to say, Anthony, or whomever I'm talking to, you have an opportunity to resign right now. If you choose not to resign, you're going to be fired. However, if you choose to resign, then you are eligible for rehire. And no matter where you go, when they call me and they ask, what kind of employee was so and so, I can say that employee is eligible for rehire.
Hmm.
Now, if it's something obviously that I have to report to SBEC or I have to inform that other district, then I have to do that. I have no choice on that. That's state law.
Yeah.
But if it's something um, silly that maybe you've done on social media or something like that, to where it's not against a kid or another adult, but it's something you've spoken out against, then that's kind of where we're at. But my job is to keep from dismissing you. My job is to make you a better teacher. And I'll give you an example too, Anthony. There's been a number of teachers that have been on the cusp and on the verge of being dismissed. And not that we moved them to a different campus to give somebody else a different problem, but we given them a new opportunity to redevelop and reinvent themselves, for lack
Yeah.
of better words, where they've done great, where
Make a
they've
change.
thrived
Hmm.
and they've made a difference because they were just on the wrong campus. There
Hmm.
has to be a good match. So um, the dismissal is the last resort. We hope we don't ever have to get to it. We do get to it sometimes. Sometimes we can't help it, but it is my job to make sure we've done everything to try not to get to that point.
For sure. For sure. Well, that's it. I really appreciate your time and all the
Well,
knowledge. That
anytime, absolutely. I'll help you as much as I can. Anthony, was that long enough? Did we go?
it was perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and
Okay.
stop the recording. Uh,
Okay.